I think Ted Ryman's the first one on from Cape Town in the Republic of South Africa, the very tip, almost the very tip of the continent of Africa. Pedro Foiling Sailor, big night last night, too much red wine, I think he means at the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, off for a walk now. Yeah, he sent me some videos, Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor, did from a terrific presentation last night at the squadron, the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, on the Fastnet race. John Emmett, who we're featuring today with his wife, Golden Lily Zhu. They're at the Castle Cove Sailing Club, a bit hungover. Everybody's hungover from the bank holiday. It was a bank holiday yesterday in England, Wales, Scotland, I guess. David James from across the bay saying hi. Gordon Smith in Denmark. Fritz Mueller in Miami. Rick Bannerow, hello from area code 203 in Connecticut. Carlos Aviz in Brasilia, as we get this one through the starting line.
I'm getting wrong.
Your mic is hot, Julia.
So sorry about that.
And that picture, I thought I'd put that in for Bill Wingrove and the Davis Island Yacht Club, because they're a big sunfish fleet down there as well. And I love that class, sailed in that class for many years. And with the hurricane, Idalia headed their way tonight, tomorrow morning, we thought we'd send them some love, at least some sunfish love. We could have maybe found a fireball slide, too. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Slow show number 645. We are once again live from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. And Julie, of course, is here, my co-host, the Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club. I trust you are well.
Of course.
And as usual, did you find your show notes? You got to click that little again.
No, it's showing me two different shows.
Well, I can't fix it for you right now.
I know.
As we carry on here for 645, thank you for joining us. Since our show on Friday, there's some interesting developments in kind of paralleling to our sailing world. I think I can take that lower third off. Christian Horner hails the untouchable Max Verstappen after a record-equaling win at the Dutch Grand Prix, and they're back at Zandvoort, I guess. That's where that was run. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner lauded Max as untouchable following the world champion's record-equaling ninth. It's mind-boggling, blowing. Ninth consecutive Grand Prix win. Verstappen overcame torrential rain in the Netherlands at both the start and towards the end of his home race to match the record Seb Vettel set with the same team in 2013, working from 13th to second and then to first to cruise home to victory. So if any of you watched that, I know there's a lot of F1 fans on here, but there is a sailing connection because it's Red Bull, which, of course, is the sponsor of America's Cup team, the Alinghi team. Oracle is also a sponsor of that team. So not too long ago, they had Max sailing with Jimmy. Here, have a look in Sail GP.
It's a completely different experience, but it's really cool.
Out against Tommy Slingsby, just for a little practice run.
Just the one yellow to the left of this chase boat, but I think we're good to go.
Title of this video is Max Can Drive Anything.
He's on the inside. One, turning up. Yeah, that's it. Just get locked in. Nice.
Okay, kind of a cool, brief video.
Yes.
And if you're also, this has nothing to do with sailing, so you can go fix yourself another coffee or another drink if you're in Europe or wherever you are. But Bravo Zulu to Victor Hovland. And the only reason I put this in is because he's young and bright and articulate. He sounds more American than I, so I'm sorry to say. But he won this over the weekend, the PGA Tour finale, the final, an $18 million U.S. FedEx Cup prize. Do you know where he is from, Julia?
No.
He is from Norway.
Oh, yay.
So bravo Zulu to him. I thought that was kind of cool. We feature a Scandinavian on here. My mother will like this. Norwegian Victor Hovland fended off a late surge by, I mean, he had a huge lead going into the final day and the final 9, but he fended off a surge by the American Zander Schaufele to finish at 27 under par.
Wow.
And win the Tour Championship on Sunday at East Lake Golf Club down in Atlanta. With the victory, Hovland becomes the 3rd youngest FedEx Cup champion in history and claims the $18 million first place prize. So I'm sure everyone in Norway, there's going to be a lot of young Norwegian golfers now instead of sailors, unfortunately. But bravo Zulu to them and to my mother's, well, at least one of her home countries.
That's a great looking trophy, too.
Well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool stuff. And the interviews that the kid did after, I mean, the kid, well, he is a kid. They were fabulous. It was well done. And bravo Zulu to him. Now, an update, there's some really good news coming out of this. First, the bad news, which is there are still, the death toll has not gone up since our Friday show, I don't believe. It's still 115, last I looked. And I believe that's what it was Friday. They're getting their list of missing people reconciled, and it's still, however, sadly, at about, right, Julia?
Yep.
At about 300 people still missing. Now, some of those people are people who are alive and don't want to be found for whatever reason, and some of them are people who sadly jumped into the ocean to try to get out of the fire and met their demise there on that wild night. But some good news. We told you some more good news. In fact, we told you on Friday about Balboa Yacht Club coming to the rescue of the staff of Lahaina Yacht Club, at least in part, and they have contributed, Balboa Yacht Club has $5,000 to an employee retention, if you will, fund, but to help the employees of Lahaina Yacht Club get through this terrible tragedy. The club's gone. It was burned down like everything else in Lahaina. Also, Long Beach Yacht Club has come through. In fact, they may have started this. So bravo Zulu to Long Beach Yacht Club. They're just north of Balboa Yacht Club down in SoCal, just south of L.A. Also now, one hears reliably. In fact, I got a nice email from the Vice Commodore this morning. But Christopher Lacey, Julia, who's been on this show any number of times, right, is a Fozy, and he tipped me off. He tipped me off to this fact that on Sunday, the
San
Francisco Yacht Club across the bay over by David James. David may even be a member also of San Francisco Yacht Club.
Is
he? Is he?
Yeah, of course he is. A long time.
And of course, this is the club that was the parent club of St. Francis Yacht Club. It was originally over here. Then they moved to Sausalito. Then the members were, we don't know if we want to move back to the city, or that Sausalito's on the other side of what is now the Golden Gate Bridge. This was before the bridge back in the 1920s. And they decided, no, let's move to Belvedere, which is around the corner over in Marin, out on the Belvedere Peninsula, and built a beautiful club there. It's been ever since. And the members who didn't want to go to Belvedere or wanted to come back to San Francisco did come back. And then in, I think, 1927, founded St. Francis Yacht Club on the city front, on city property where it is today. So that I digress, because they're really one of the oldest club on the West Coast, in fact, right. San Francisco Yacht Club. But bravo Zulu to them, because on Sunday, they had a fundraiser, and they did remember the flags during COVID, and when they raised the flags over the club, Charlie Golf won, which was in kind of solidarity for everybody going through this whole COVID madness worldwide. And ultimately, thanks to San Francisco Yacht Club, clubs literally on every continent, I think we finally had, even in South America, in Antarctica, but in South America for sure. Didn't somebody also take one to McMurdo Sound and put one up there?
Yes.
On South Africa. But bravo Zulu to the club, the San Francisco Yacht Club. They've got this, and I think it's a hell of a good idea. I think we ought to go back to these flags, which date from, World War I or sometime, when a ship was standing by another ship, and these flags, Charlie Golf 1, became the signal, the naval nautical signal, that we're standing by in case you need help, which I hope is a nice signal to send to Lahaina Yacht Club. And that club, San Francisco Yacht Club, as well as Balboa and Long Beach, and hopefully others, are going to contribute a few bucks to help keep the Lahaina Yacht Club staff afloat. In the meantime, and again, displaying Charlie Golf 1 is just a really nice gesture. And so is your sending that to me, Christopher Lacey, our FOSI from across the bay, stalwart member of San Francisco Yacht Club. Appreciate that very much. We also told you on Friday's show, just cleaning things up since last Friday's show, about the Long Point Race Week. It's a terrific event down in SoCal, raced out to Catalina Island. How far is it, Julia, to Catalina?
26 miles.
Can't you sing the song?
26 miles across the sea. Santa Catalina is waiting for me.
What year was that song written?
Maybe about 56.
In the 50s? I thought it was before that, wasn't it? How would I know?
I don't know.
How would I know? But this is a terrific race. Long Point Race Week takes place the last weekend of August every year. And I, having sailed in it a number of times, can tell you that it is one of the best regattas in this country every year. It's arguably better than, dare I say it, the New York Yacht Club Cruise. So if you ever get a chance to sail it, they only invite 40 boats to sail out. It's really to the south, out to Catalina, race out to Catalina on Friday, race up the shore on Saturday, race back to Newport Beach on Sunday, co-hosted by Balboa Yacht Club, Newport Harbor Yacht Club. But the point of it is to tell you that another FOSI, Hazo Plotner, who founded,
Yes.
what's the name of his software company?
Oh, gosh.
And he's a big sailor,
Yes.
big-time sailor, German gentleman. What's the name of his software company?
Oh.
SAP.
P. Oh, yeah.
And he also is I love the guy because he's a hockey fan. And what could be wrong with anybody who's a sailor and a hockey fan? Even better if he played the guitar or banjo. But
Maybe.
maybe he does. Hazo Plotner won again on his Reichel Pew 68, a Baltic 68. Kayard Julia was sailing on the boat. He has a professional crew. That boat is always well presented and well sailed, and they won again. They've won that event several times.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody should check their rating, but that's just me. It's okay. The team that I often sail with has finished sixth, so they had a pretty good out of 40. That was not too bad a regatta for them. And you'll see here that where is Rock and Roll? They were doing well early on, but John Sangmeister, another FOSI, ended up 14th, just ahead of Pinball Wizard, who was St. Francis Yacht Club Staff Commodore Bill Dana, who took his boat down and sailed and sailed well, finished a respectable 15th. What day is it today, Julia? There's your first and only clue. What are we celebrating today, I should say, and not a nuclear explosion.
It's not a nuclear explosion.
Well, it is, but that's not what we're celebrating. Today, the 29th of August, is a UN observed International Day, and they call it the Day Against Nuclear Tests.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the video. Yeah, the date is something to do with a nuclear test in Kazakhstan, as you will have seen there if you're reading the captions here. This UN International Day Against Nuclear Tests, I guess we should celebrate that, shouldn't we, Julia?
Yes.
I'm keen to have more nuclear tests. I'd be happy if we got rid of nuclear weapons and
Me too.
a few other things, that courtesy of the United
We're
Nations.
looking at 24 hours from now.
Now, what about tomorrow?
When do we start to see some of the impacts? The outer
Hurricane
rings
Idalia.
on the Keys, but places like Tampa, even Tallahassee. When do you see the timing of big winds starting up and the duration?
Well, Wednesday's going to be the big day for areas like Tampa, but as we head a little farther north, say where we
Yeah, today is also the 18th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and Guy Briere is on, and we're going to talk about that too in this day in history. But just to say that this Idalia, Julia checked to see that we're pronouncing it right. It's headed for Florida, and for our FOSI up in the panhandle up in the, what do they call that corner, Julie, of the state?
I don't know.
The crook between the panhandle and the peninsula.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's headed for our Florida Fozy in Bill Wingrove and Co. in that corner of the state, then it's going to cross across the state, maybe affect the eastern seaboard going north. It's Category 3. It's going to be. That's a Mark Michelson tells me it's going to be Category 3. He's not quite sure yet where it's going to go ashore, but it's a bit of a deal. We hope you all stay safe. The Big Bend, thank you, Guy Briere. The Bend, Baton Rouge. Everybody's saying the Bend in Florida's where the Panhandle meets the peninsula there on the west coast. It's windy, though, and it's going to be windy.
Allow for any time error here. You want to take precautions well in advance of the storm coming in. I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube
Okay,
page.
We don't need the Fox Weather commercial.
On the way.
Now, I got something else for you. This is a look courtesy of Bill Wingrove and the Davis Island Yacht Club.
Ooh.
The outer bands are already there. And it may, as Clark Chapin say, it may miss Tampa St. Pete, but they're going to still get a lot of wind and storm surge. It's going to go up maybe a little further to the west across the state capital, Tallahassee, and then go up and hassle the eastern seaboard, as we said. Now, I watched this video, what it looks like. This is just from an hour or two ago at Davis Island Yacht Club. Cool yacht club in Tampa, Florida. You can see the storm clouds, they are a gathering, and there's already a pretty good breeze there you can see on the flagpole. Thank you, Bill Wingrove, for sending that along, taken by a member at Davis Island Yacht Club. Some comments here. There is Wingrove. Bill's on. We'll get sideswiped as it heads up the Gulf. Good news, I guess, I think. I hope the storm surge in Tampa Bay is not too bad for you, Bill. Fritz Miller, we in Miami are dodging bullets for now. Plenty of action. Yeah, it looks like an active Atlantic hurricane season ahead of us. Clark Chapin, Julie, you're going to say?
Yeah, I heard that the storm surge could be 12 feet. And I mean, that's 2 men high, and that's incredible.
So it's headed for somewhere on the Bend. And we hope all of you Florida Fozy, all of you in the Southeast, stay safe. We hope this turns out to be kind of a nothing burger like that hurricane did in SoCal a week or so ago. But unprecedented. I mean, almost unprecedented hurricane. We're going to get to these guys in a minute, but Guy Briere, to your point about this being a special day in history, the 29th of August is the... from 2005, I should add, is the sad day that Hurricane Katrina went ashore in Louisiana, New Orleans, and that is the beloved former, the old clubhouse. They burned to the ground, and the water damage, between the water damage and the fire, that was the end of the old clubhouse. And one of the oldest clubs in this country, New York Southern, Detroit Boat Club, and one or two others, are among the oldest continuously operating clubs. Very prestigious club. Great hot time down there. Great club boats. They sailed on Lake Pontchartrain. I've sailed there many times and always enjoyed the hospitality of that beautiful club. That hurricane in 2005 was awful. Something like, that's the Superdome. That's their big sports arena there. And that became about the only place that was habitable. About 80% of the city's population evacuated, while 10,000 people headed to the Superdome for shelter. And it was some kind of a hellhole. It was not correct. But that was the best they had. And there was a lot of criticism of the federal government, of FEMA, our Federal Emergency Management Agency, for the lack of preparedness and then the lack of delivery. Perhaps the most infamous hurricane of all time, Katrina, devastated large swaths of the U.S. Gulf Coast, particularly Louisiana, where the Big Easy, as New Orleans is known, was inundated with floodwaters after the city's levees broke. They were breached, and more than 1,800 people died on this day in history in 2005. That is an aerial. You can see the city in the background, but you can see what a horrific flooded mess it was. And of course, it's hot and it's humid and there are mosquitoes. no air conditioning, no power, no running water, and it was some kind of an awful, miserable mess. There's some alliteration. The breach of the levees caused catastrophic flooding in New Orleans. As much as 80% of it was flooded for weeks. The estimated cost of Katrina was over $100 billion, something like $125 billion, tying it with Hurricane Harvey in 2017 as the costliest natural disaster in American history, or so say any number of sources. Now, what does Southern Yacht Club look like today? Well, it has been rebuilt. It's just a fabulous facility there on Lake Pontchartrain, swimming pool, boats, moorings, dockage. It's its good old self, and even better. Yeah, they lost some trophies. Trophies can be replaced. But the spirit and enthusiasm of that club, as Guy, don't call me Guy Briere, past Commodore, who's a Fosie's on here commenting, I can see. That is a fabulous club. In fact, we've been talking about the Invitational Cup at New York Yacht Club. They are the defending champs. They've won it twice, as Guy pointed out to us on Friday when we were talking about this. And I pinged Stuart Struley today at New York Yacht Club, their esteemed and superb communications director, and he said, yes, correct, Southern Yacht Club is the defending champs. They won in 2017 when Marcus Egan, one of the sons of a great Flying Scot friend and competitor of mine, Marcus Egan, skipper Johnny Lovell called tactics. Then in 2021, they swapped roles and won again with Johnny returning as skipper, Marcus not sailing with Southern this time around. So they're back here in 2023. And I thought this was a nice sentiment. Stuart Struley says, we New York Yacht Club, also consider Royal Sydney sort of a defending champion. They won in 2019 and couldn't defend in 2021 due to
COVID.
So that was too bad. But we're looking forward to that. That event's coming up, and we may have a Commodore or somebody in the brass and the flags at New York on the show next week to give us a bit of a preview.
That'd be nice.
We're working on it. Thanks, Stuart Struley, for your help with that. Congratulations to Southern Yacht Club. It's been a long, 05, 15, almost 20 years. So 2 years short, 18 years since the horrific Hurricane Katrina. And that's the scene from a photo not too long ago up at Harbor Court in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island, where all those teams will be assembling for the Invitational Cup, the 9th through the 16th. So just in a couple weeks' time. Busy September in our beloved sport.
Reliably windy.
Yeah, not so reliably windy in that shot, but that's an early morning shot, I think. That's an eastern sun. The sun, that's looking north-ish, and the sun looks to me like it's coming up from the right or east, so it's an early morning shot. No breeze, no sea breeze. Paul Todd photo, by the way, Outside Images lets us use that. Thank you, Paul. And that gets us to the Emmett segment, husband and wife. And I asked John, why don't you give us an update with all this stuff that Lily is doing? His wife and former mentee coached her in the Olympics when she got a gold medal in 2012. Why don't you fill us in on what she's doing with all this broadcast work? And she's doing a fair bit of sailing on her own. She's doing foiling. And he said, what a great idea. And they shot this video. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good.
And they shot this video yesterday at the Castle Cove Sailing Club.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fosie. I'm here at Castle Cove Sailing Club, and we've got a Monday race coming up very shortly, so I'm going to go and rig my Ilka, and I want to thank Yacht, the esteemed cameraman, because I think he needs to go and get in his yacht very quickly, and also he's holding the camera manually, so we'll keep it short to save his arm. But I've got the lovely Lily here. You've just been doing helping out with Sail for All, which is normally on a Saturday afternoon, but being a bank holiday Monday, you've been helping.
Yeah, so we got about 25 boats on the water today, and before launching, I gave them some briefing, because today our topic is rounding the mark, so I give them some tips about how to maneuver the boat and how to set up the rig before and after running the mark. And then on the water, I just give them some one-to-one talk whenever I see something interesting, and then whenever I see maybe I could be helpful. So yeah, in this club, it's really nice family environment. So everyone got twice a year to do their duty, but actually most members doing more than that. But yeah, everyone feels so involved and then helping each other. I really like this club, so I'm proud to say Castle Cove is my home club now.
And if we look behind, we've got some boats of interest. I see the one closest to us next to the Ilka is a red. Well, you tell us.
Well, yeah, yes, last year I was given it a try by one of the sailing club members. So I jumped into his Wasp, and after trying the foiling boat, I just couldn't help loving it. And then soon afterwards, I got a new boat, all red Wasp. And then I think to start with, we only got 2 from last year. And now this year, I just counted, we nearly had 10 wasps. So yeah, this fleet is increasing in our club, and then it's really nice to sail together. And then sometimes we've got a bunch of boats from the academy as well, but obviously they're more higher level sailors, but it's a good opportunity to learn from them. And I think next year we will have the UK Nationals in Weymouth as well as the Worlds in 2025. So I hope I can keep improving and maybe do some events in the Wasp class.
Well, it's interesting. I noticed that you put a sneaky sticker on your mainsail, so even more highly identifiable. You tell us about that. And I'm pretty sure the pursuit race yesterday, which was sailed in very windy winds, was won by a Wasp.
Yeah, I was actually quite happy sailed yesterday in 20 to 25 knots. I feel it's probably beyond my control because in the first few sessions I wasn't brave enough to bear away to sail the downwind, because as soon as I bear away, the speed just accelerated, and then I just way beyond my ability. But now I think I'm quite happy to launch on a windy day, though still struggle a little bit in foiling tack, but foiling jibe I feel quite confident now. And then yeah, I got a birthday gift for a Chinese flag sticker. So I put that on both of my Wasp sail now. I got 2 rigs, one is 6.9 and the other is 8.2. So I can choose which rig to use according to different wind range.
Perfect. Well, we know who to look out for then.
Yeah, all red. And then though I'm yet to put proper sail numbers on my sail and just a single number 1, because that's needed for the safety precaution for the club, so they can be identified by the trolley, etc. But once I started to do racing, then for sure I need to apply 4 numbers properly on the sail.
Good job. Well, we really hope you're going to join us racing soon. And thanks to Jock, I know he wants to go racing this afternoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully see you on the show.
See you foiling on the water.
You know what I think we should do next? We should have Lily interview John.
Oh, good idea.
You know, she's a pro now.
She is.
She's doing live pro commentating for CNT, Chinese National TV, and other sources, I guess. And
did for the Olympics.
And did for the Olympics, did for Sail GP, I think. I think she's done. I think also for the Around the World race. So bravo Zulu to her. And I just thought it was nice to have a segment with the 2 of them. I was a little worried there for a minute if that boat was going to back into them and run them over. I'd watched, you know, when I do these shows, I put the video in and I watch the start of it. And usually I watch all of John's, but I didn't have time today.
Yeah.
And I usually watch the start and then I watch the end to be sure that I don't go to black at the end of the video or something,
right,
where we have too many sponsor signboards at the end. And I just was sitting there thinking, God, did I not watch that to see if that boat ran them over? That would have been crouton.
Yeah. I just love to watch the 2 of them together. They just grin and I, you know, they radiate happiness.
You sent them a note this morning.
I did.
You want to disclose that note, or is it personal and private and confidential?
Oh, well, it's just that I hope the 2 of you are as happy as you appear to be.
In that you love that that photo, that image.
Yeah.
Of course, I used it as the cover slide. So I love these two as well, and we really appreciate everything John does for us, and increasingly Lily. And let's get Lily, right?
Right. They're a good idea.
To interview him.
Yes.
Sometime down the road. So a lot of cool comments coming in, and these yacht clubs, what a wonderful sport we have. And again, as Paul Henderson says, as we like to say here on this show, the yacht clubs. It doesn't have to be a big fancy club like St. Francis or Southern or New York or tell me who, or San Francisco. It's about the people and the spirit and the enthusiasm. They're the heart and soul of our sport, the beating hearts of our sport. And we appreciate all that the clubs do for their members and for each other. Guy, don't call me Guy Briere. I love the talk about another. Hey, Guy, are you coming to Stag Cruise this year? Let me know if you guys are coming up here. Guy Briere, who's a past commenter at Southern, says, refreshing comment that New York Yacht Club donated to Southern Yacht Club employees after Katrina. I did not know that, but I'm not surprised. And Southern Yacht Club and Pensacola Yacht Club, Guy says, donated to St. Andrews at St. Andrews Bay Yacht Club over in Panama City, Florida, on the Panhandle, where I've also sailed many times, when they were destroyed in one of the hurricanes. And Clayton Ebley reminding us, not only did they have mosquitoes and heat and humidity, they had snakes and gators in all of that horrible water. Rick Banner, I don't know. See that? He's asking, what is an Idalia?
He answers it, though.
He does?
Yeah.
The name, there he does. Thank you, Julia. You want to read that?
Yes, but I've lost it at the moment.
The name Idalia is a girl's name of Italian origin, meaning behold
the sun.
The sun.
There it is.
Look, you learn something new every day.
Absolutely.
Clark Chapin saying, Katrina also leveled Bay Waveland Yacht Club, which is just to the east of New Orleans in Bay St. Louis, another place I've had the great pleasure of sailing and playing the banjo and singing late nights, the Bay Waveland Yacht Club, along with the home of it is the home of the late, great banjo playing Walter Chamberlain, who was another one of these guys, just self-effacing, nice guy, quiet. And he was the parliamentarian of U.S. sailing for years. And he did this professionally at organizations, for-profit, non-profit organizations down in the New Orleans area. And he also played the banjo. So we formed, of course, a band.
Oh, of course.
To play at the annual meetings and beyond. President Bush fly by Jonathan Frank reminding us, President Bush did not get high marks for the handling of this. That was 43 Bush. That was the second Bush. Lily looks so dang good on camera, Stingray is saying. Couldn't agree more. It's exactly what Julia said as well. John Emmett, the human tripod. There is a dirty joke, Julia. That definitely requires a finger shake.
Oh, yeah?
Tripod. That's what somebody want to explain that to Julia, or shall I?
Don't explain it.
That's how many legs does a tripod have, Julia?
4.
No, 3. Hence, Andrew Pindar making that joke about him being a human tripod. I wouldn't know, Andrew. I wouldn't know. This is the best husband-wife interview since Jim and Tammy Baker. But those of you outside the States probably won't know who that is. Pedro Foiling Sailor, he didn't go out for his walk. Or if he did, he's back already. I love seeing the expression and excitement shown by Lily explaining how much fun foiling Pedro Foiling Sailor is in. She was afraid to bear away and go downhill.
Yeah.
Andrew Pindar again saying, hope we can persuade Lily to sail with the Magenta Project sticker on her sail, and boat maybe she does already. Nice job, guys. Jonathan Frank, Clark Chapin. Yep, talking some more about the late, great banjo Walt, the Bangin' Banjo Boys Band. I don't know about that, Rick. We called ourselves, I don't know if we even had a name. Hi, Julie Aarons. It's warm here in Cleveland. I took a 2-mile walk in the park. Nice. Boy, there are a lot of comments today. Lily has the looks and brains, Graham Sweeney says, and doesn't have to shave.
Nice, Graham.
That's the thing I hate most about this show.
I know.
Having to shave before. I only shave twice a week. Tuesday. Is that too much information? Tuesdays and Fridays. That's why we don't do the show more often, right, Julia? I'd have to shave more often.
I think that's probably right.
And why do I have to? Why can't I? Because Julia gives me absolute, complete bollocking as you Brits would say. Replying to Jonathan Franco's Bush 43 looking in the right direction. I don't know. That is John Emmett sailing. Get to the front of the fleet. We appreciate, as always,
both of them.
Both of them. Next time, in Chinese, you put the Zhu, you put the family name first. So she's actually Zhu Lijia.
Yeah.
And you'll see me doing that in some places. Other places, I just carry on and anglicize it with Lily Zhu. Golden Lily, 2012 gold medalist.
That's a good book.
It is a good book, isn't it? It is indeed.
If you haven't read it, you can find it.
If you're just joining us, this is that's the cover shot that we're using for this show. The main feature, really, of today's show. Lily and John, show number 645. We're about 35 minutes in. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday. And a couple Bravo Zulus here to catch up on. We were talking Friday about, it looked like Preveza was going to go ahead and win the two TP 52 Worlds. And then Harm Mueller-Sprier's platoon. Why was I going to call them plantain? That's a banana or something. Platoon came from behind on Saturday, was it? Or on Saturday, I guess, and won. Here's the video.
Well, it's the final day of the Rolex T52 World Championships here in Barcelona. Going to be a two-boat race potentially with Preveza. Never won the World Championship before. They're 3 points up on the double World Champions. Platoon come here having won the Royal Cup last month. It's everything to play for, but it's a funky forecast. There's lots of clouds around, lots of upsets. Is it going to be a two-boat race, or could it be different? Could there be 3 boats coming in? It's going to be all to play for. So the first race of the day starts in an easterly breeze, round about 9 to 10 knots, quite lumpy conditions. Well, off the start line, it's very, very even, probably the most even start. Nice start by Quantum Racing and Phoenix on the left-hand end of the line. Gladiator go out to the right early. The top markets, Phoenix overlapped with Gladiator. It's a very, very tight rounding. Platoon again by that rounding down the first run. Coming into the leeward gate, will Platoon make a fairly safe drop. Gladiator unfortunately dropped their kite in the water. Platoon extend, going around up the top markets. Platoon with a comfortable lead. Preveza back in 6th, and through the finish line, it's Platoon taking the World Championship advantage with a win. Preveza in 6th, end up 2 points behind going into the last race. So the big finale, the title showdown, starts in a breeze of 105 degrees, 1.6 nautical mile beat, and it's quite a light breeze, lots of chop. Well, Preveza lead in the early stages. They lead round the top mark with Interlodge in 2nd, Quantum in 3rd, Platoon are down in 5th in the early stage, and Preveza stretch away downwind through the leeward gates. Preveza leading, Interlodge in 2nd, Quantum Racing in 3rd. And in the last top mark, well, Preveza are leading. There's nothing more they can do at this stage. Interlodge and Quantum Racing go out to the left looking for something, perhaps trying to make a big gain down the final run, but actually Platoon stay to the right and all the way down. They're inching down, making small gains, and through the finish line will Preveza win, but Platoon making those gains in the final minutes of the World Championship, and they come through the line in 2nd place to win the 2023 World title.
Winning 3 world titles in this class, this is a monohull racing, you can't have it better. That's a big honor to do this.
I have my father that is pushing a lot from the sky, let's say, and we have this extra pushing that helps always. Personally, me and Jordi, we have clear what we have to do in order to recover it. Just don't do something crazy, wait for opportunities, then we are able to win.
It's tough to win the race and still not win the regatta, but we've just got to now focus on the overall for the season and keep chipping away. And I think if we keep sailing the way we've been doing, hopefully that'll be enough for Port Owls.
This is the best result of us in a World Championship. We had 2/3 before. We are happy, but the escaped fish is always a big fish.
So the final standings after 8 races will Platoon win on 25 points. Preveza just a painful single point behind on 26. Gladiator their third podium of the season on 34 points. So that's it from Barcelona. A short, tight, compact, intense World Championship. Platoon coming out on top to win their world title for the third time. So now we move to Mallorca to the big finale in Puerto Portals. Preveza lead by 18 points going into the big season finale ahead of Platoon. But Platoon, as they've proven here, can do miracles.
You got to admit, that is a nice video, nice music. It's exciting, but it's not over the top.
Yep.
I think very well done. Yeah, John Cutler, the Finn sailor. I did a couple of America's Cup campaigns with JC. He's a terrific guy. Jonathan Frank, epic. Yeah, 1 point. 1 point separating the top 2 boats, and not much more than that, the top 3. That's textbook, Baton Rouge is saying. And yeah, on the race course, no, they're not sailing triangles. They just say, like most modern America's Cup, match racing, fleet racing in the Olympics, it's windward lured, the boring old windward lured, very little triangle racing left.
2 sausages with no sauce?
Yeah, 2 sausages. What'd they say? I was watching the comments with one eye on watching
Stingray,
and watching the video with the other. Yeah, and then there's some comments, Julie, about, I won't read Ted Ryman's comment, but you all can go up and read it. Yeah, Graham Sweeney says he shaves every day. Not. That guy's got the biggest, best beard of anybody on here. Jody Shields, bullocks and human tripods. This show has gone to another level. Jody's, at least he hasn't said the T word yet today.
Yeah, good.
Okay, that nice stuff from the TP52 World Championship in Barcelona. And when I talked to Stuart Struley this morning, he was there doing commentary. Stuart, who's the communications director for New York Yacht Club, a longtime friend, and did a good job as kind of the color commentator for the live television of the TP52s. And he said, and as we were texting, I didn't actually talk to him, but he said, wow, it was some hot. It's like a sauna. It's a hot and humid. I say, excuse me, Stuart, I lived there for down the coast for 10 years in a house that had no air. Very few homes have air conditioning because it's too expensive, first of all. Secondly, you're in and out of the weather. You finally just get used to it. And it's no surprise that people want to take a siesta.
Yes.
And they want to not eat dinner until after the evening heat and humidity breaks.
And it cools down.
That's the whole Med, not just Spain, but I mean, the whole, North Shore of the whole Mediterranean. Great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we had a pool, so you hop in the pool and you get out, go back in and work and sweat and get back in the pool, and you have a ceiling fan, and I think it was the healthiest living we did actually without aircon.
Yeah,
and that's also one advantage to here, right?
Yes.
There's no aircon because we have the natural air conditioning.
Open windows.
of the sea breeze coming in off the very chilly Pacific Ocean, where it's 55, 60 degrees max this time of year, maybe a touch more than that, and it blows dogs off chains and oysters off rocks most summer afternoons here in reliably windy and
iconically beautiful
San Francisco. Now here is, by contrast, the World Sailing video. And I'm just going to play the first few seconds of it because I would have had to go take some Prozac or something, some kind of a downer after this video, just using it as an intro to, they've yet, okay, it's an okay video intro, but they have yet to do any kind of a wrap-up, a summary for this regatta, the Sailing World Championships that we've been covering in the Netherlands, in Den Haag, The Hague. But one class that has come through in spades again is the 49er and the 49er FX, and they produced a video that, okay, you can talk about the music, but I think this is a terrific couple-minute recap of what went on in these two classes, the men's and the women's, class 49er, the skiffs, in Den Haag.
Yo, get the speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
I should probably voice this. 2024 Olympics. Yeah, the soundtrack, Sean Svensson. Hello, Commodore Svensson's watching. It's a little much. I feel like I'm in a bar in the Castro here in San Francisco, Julia. We're at Queen in Paris. Big bar, a big disco up the top of Champs-Élysées. We could turn down the music and watch the sailing. Ed Worley is saying, yeah, but bravo Zulu to them for producing this.
It was a really good day and turned out to be enough. Yeah, Spanish didn't have a very good day, so yeah, turned out to be enough already. Yeah. Sure, we're super happy. We're sailing one of the best days in our sailing career at the right moment, and yeah, today was definitely the right moment to have one of your best days. And
the Swedes were second in the FX.
We didn't know.
Bill
Like,
Bobek and Rebecca Netzler.
Do you think we won? Because we didn't know, because we were so bad at counting. So it just, yeah, it took a while to realize.
Swedes won in the FX. So bravo Zulu to them and to the class, the 49er and the 49er FX Class 4, producing that video. Yeah, we can argue about the music selection, as some of you are doing.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, you can't have a lot of classical and jazz music all the time, right? What's Emmett saying? Oops, she almost did an Emmett there, Gordon Smith is saying. Both teams won with a day to spare. Yeah. This, I'm sorry, John, and anybody else, this medal race concept is croutonic. The sooner we get rid of it, the better off our sport will be, in my never so humble opinion. Bravo Zulu to the teams, both the men and the women in the 49er and the 49er FX. Now, the America's Cup is they're coming up here in Villanova in a couple of weeks for that first preliminary regatta before they go to Jeddah. No word yet on how many, well, whether all the teams are going to Jeddah. I'm told New York is not going, American Magic. But we've got, by way of an AC-37 Cup date, a video that is a little longer than we normally play. It's about 8.5, 9 minutes, previewing from going and interviewing the teams. I like it. I think this is one of the best videos I've seen out of ACE, America's Cup events, in some time, previewing what's going to happen between now and at Villanova. And in a separate interview, which I didn't run, but a couple of you sent it, links to it, you sent to me links to this other video, which was interviewing the New York Yacht Club gang, saying, you know, Villanova's fine, but we're here to build a fast race boat for next summer, the AC-75, and not so concerned about these pre-regattas, which I think is the right sentiment. I'm seeing a lot of good things out of American Magic and New York Yacht Club, notwithstanding that they have, I mean, not mentioning not to say that they have Tom Slingsby as well on one of their wheels. But have a look at this video. I think you'll enjoy it.
We're here with Arno Sarafagis, helm on board Alinghi Red Bull Racing. So 2 boats sailing today with both AC-40s in one design. Offshore wind in the morning, shifty and gusty, before dying and turning to the south. You finished off with some racing, you and Max against Dean Barker and Phil Robertson. How are you feeling about today?
Yeah, today was a really good day to start the week. We had the offshore breeze in the beginning that died off really quickly. But we got super lucky to get the southwest breeze coming back in, and it was a perfect way to start the week as we are doing our racing program now. And Phil, Dean, and Jason are here to help us to improve and to push us to the limit. And today we almost find a little limit on the boat, and it's a good thing to improve and to work on for tomorrow and the rest of the week.
So what are you looking to improve and work on for the next days?
We can improve all little details, a little bit of communication, and as well as the conditions were a little bit tricky with the gust and lull. So a little tweak on the setup just to make sure that everything go really smoothly and you don't lose anything, but you just try to make some gain.
It looked like the right side of the course was favourable. Most of the sailing was on the right side, but not only today. When the thermal winds, we often see you going inshore. Do you agree with that? Is that a consistent?
Yeah, I think the right was quite consistent. Only the one time we could go to the left and we didn't, and he actually did pay on the left. So now the conditions were really nice because was one of the first time that was quite shifty and we could really play around and make the game even more interesting on board.
So if we have thermal winds in Villanova, is that something you expect, going over towards the shore?
Well, to be honest, it's pretty far away, so we haven't really looked at it. But depend on the race course and how far we are from the shore, and maybe the right will pay like usual.
And if you find yourself, behind in the racing, what's the thought process? You bang the corner inshore or get clean air? What's the?
Well, I think it really depends where you are in which stage of the race are you in. You cannot put everything on the table too early, so you need to be patient, and it's gonna be a fleet race, so you don't need to win every race, so you just need to be up there, and at the end of the week the point will count. Yeah.
And how differently are you approaching the starts in your training now leading up to Villanova? You're not moving away from match racing starts, more focused on fleet racing starts. What's the process?
It really depends. You try to find a routine that works for each condition, each situation. It's still early on because we're still practicing fleet race start, but two boats, so it can really quickly end up in a match race situation. But we just try to find some routine, but it's not really far away from a match race routine or way of thinking on the start.
How much pressure is there within the team to perform at Villanova?
There is not much pressure on the team to perform. We just want to do it well and to try to work on every little details. And it's going to be a really good first event, and then we're going to carry that work through Jeddah, and it's where we can fine-tune things until next year.
Ben Cornish helming on the port side of T6 today, but not much of it. It was a pretty short day of sailing, long day out on the water, short day of sailing. Technical issues on board, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, exactly. We spent a while out there today, and like you say, not a huge amount converted into sailing hours. A couple of bugs on board, let's say, gremlins, which we tried to resolve. We sent a couple of chase boats in with some replacement parts in the debugging process, and by the time we were closing in on a fix to it, the breeze actually turned off and went back to this offshore land breeze. So a bit of an opportunity missed, I guess, out there today.
So was the boat fixed by the end, or?
We should be in a good place, yeah. Not completely fixed, but I think the guys had a good handle on what was the problem at the end.
All right, let's turn our attention to Villanova, which is coming up pretty soon now. Have you guys finalised your onboard team for that event?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the crew list each day as to who's being focused in which areas, which is probably answers that question. We've been starting to up the hours with the AC40. Obviously, it's now 2 weeks away, so the priority has to start to turn towards race sharpness and the communications on board of that boat.
How important is it for you guys to get a good result there? There is some importance to it in the overall cup, but for you as a team, there must be some kind of personal pride in this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the first time for teams to line up against each other and I guess stake their claim in this America's Cup. You know, you mentioned the importance. It's not massive for the America's Cup, but just you leave a mark of what you're intending to do, and you know each team wants to go out there and win a regatta. So yeah, we'll be approaching it with that same attitude.
Do you think we'll see very different styles of sailing of these AC40s, or is everybody kind of getting to the same place now?
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago with the first official lineups that we had on the media testing, there were a few small differences that were picked up within the coaching and the sailing team. But I think by the time we get to racing, you know, it will come down to small mistakes here and there on the race course, maneuvers not quite being landed or things like that. Poor starts will probably make the difference.
That's really, you're talking about consistency there. That's the big thing in one design racing. How do you practice for that? How do you train for that?
Yeah, I mean it's time on the water effectively. You know, as a team, we've been focusing a lot with T6, so we're probably maybe a click behind on hours. But again, you know, the boys are out there today, and it's every moment you can go through the maneuvers and perfect the moves is very valuable.
Final question for today: how much of the strategy will be about sailing your own race, just getting a clear lane, going fast, and trying to win the race?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. We've not seen these boats race in a fleet race before, other than last weekend, and you know, I think there will be a lot. I'm sure once a boat breaks clear of the dogfight, let's say, it may have an easier lap around the course. But yeah, there's so many unknowns. It's going to be exciting to find out.
Well, I don't know. There's something weird looking about these boats. You don't see them complete the tack or jibe very often. They don't show you that. They don't show the coming back down into the water and then having to refly the boats. It's I don't know.
There's a comment earlier about the automatic controls.
Yeah, and what's going to be legal or not in Villanova. I don't know. We'll do a full look into all that before that regatta in a couple weeks' time. I just want to go back to the comments up there at the top. Alingi Stingray is agreeing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Alingi's looking better than I'd expected at this stage.
You've been telling us that all along.
Stingray and I have been having this discussion back channel a little bit, not a lot, but as you know, I've been saying for a year since they entered that they would be a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Svensson, Commodore Svensson, one of the St. Francis Yacht Club past Commodore. One of the problems with televised sailing is how boring the interviewees can be. Monotone, no hand gestures. Show some character, guys. Yeah, especially, I think that's a good point, Sean, but these guys are so, they're brought into these interviews by ACE. These are not team, as you know, Julia, they're not team produced. And the guys are, I have to do this. I don't want to stuff it. I don't want to F this up and get the team mad at me for saying something I shouldn't say, releasing some information or making us look bad or something. So it's the old days, as Sean will remember. He's not as old as I, but but the old days of a Tom Blackall or a Dennis Conner or even Sir James Hardy, the gentleman that he was, he would still be much more animated and articulate, to say nothing of, somebody like Warren Jones or some of the other Aussies and Brits and Kiwis and so on. One of the problems with televised sailing is how boring the interviewees can be. Yep, Sean, I think you're right. The ACE videos are getting better. Yes, Ed, I said in the show notes at the top of the show, I think I used in italics a good video. It's still not great, but they're okay, right? Sweeney is saying, Graham says, these boats are too high-tech. If you can't fix it on the water, then you've gone too far. That's a really interesting point.
Yes, I thought so too.
Steve Gruber, they are the only first-time challenger to win the Cup. That is Alinghi. That is correct. First time ever that a challenger on the first go, that was in Auckland, 2003. And, of course, they had the Kiwis. They had Russell Coutts and his tight five, Brad Butterworth and co. So it wasn't like they were an inexperienced challenger. And then, of course, they defended in 07. He sounds like he was in military. Sit rep. Yeah, okay, Gordon Smith, exactly. His phrase, dog pile. Yeah, BST Laser, then Finso, John Emmett knows. They sure are spending a lot of money on those things when they could, be out sailing real sailboats. Even Clark Chave. Clark, thank you for helping our friend Darlene Hines this morning with her car. It's not, the Fozy, I just tell you a quick side story, Julia. Our mutual friend Darlene Hines, who's a St. Francis member, has a new car, and it's a GM product, and a fancy GM product.
Yeah.
And the car, she spent, a fair bit of money on it. Well, a Stingray, I might as well tell you, it's a Corvette. It's a big, beautiful, new white Corvette Stingray. And it had some kind of a problem. And she called me up. And look, Charlie, I don't know anything about cars, but I know somebody who does.
Uh-huh.
So I put her together, long story short, with Clark.
Uh-huh.
Clark told her all the questions to ask the dealer and whether it's whoever it's being repaired and so on.
Yeah.
And just before the show, I got a text from her saying Clark was wonderful. He helped me do all this, ask the right questions. I'm now satisfied that, it's going to be okay, yada, yada. So thank you, Clark, for all that. The Fozy come through once again. Guy Briere, going back to Katrina, it was a natural disaster on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. It was a federal disaster in New Orleans. Had the Army Corps of Engineers not fraudulently and inadequately constructed the levees, there would have been minor flooding and far less loss of life. It's a good point. I mean, the feds would piss up at a brewery. I swear to God. That's why I'm so much of a states' rights, and let the state give the money to the states or never take the money from the states and the local city. Let the municipalities and the states run their own shows.
Yeah.
They'd be way better off than relying on, I'm from the government and here to help, right?
No, I love that.
Ronald Reagan. And I saw that in spades in Europe, too, when we lived in Europe, and the EU became a thing, and it's no mystery to me why I understand a lot of Brits don't like having bailed out of the EU, but let's don't talk about politics.
No.
Ted Ryman says, I like these little AC boats. I think that innovation prompted by the AC is excellent. Gordon Smith, he says that every time, and he's maintaining his view on that, his respected view.
Mm-hmm.
Francesco Bruni and some of the others at Luna Rossa are pretty good interviews with hand gestures. Well, they're Italian hand gestures, especially when they finish with a message to their Italian audience in Italian. Ed Worley, there are also indications, rumors that they are automating the AC-40 sail controls to allow the main and jib to be trimmed in unison.
Yeah, that's what somebody was asking.
By the computer.
Yeah. That should not happen.
It should not happen. They might as well not put any crew on the boats and just, have a Game Boy, a controller, someplace in front of the TV screen back at the yacht club. The flight control software will be engaged for all the AC-40s in the OD AC-40s in Villanova, but there's still plenty to do for the Sailor Stingray insists. Hi, Alistair Murray, president of Sailing Australia. Good day, Tom. Julian Fozy checking in late from Melbourne. Great sports city that is. Great sailing town. Glad to hear that Darlene's car turned out. Yeah, thanks, Clark. Last I knew, she was going to collect it. Thanks again for your help. Jay Rendell, up in Minnesota, who's helping me sort out. We're going to have a neat interview with an Olympian here coming up. Not today, but in the immediate future. I'm helping with an A-Scow video here at White Bear Lake. Just curious what the Fozy do or don't like in sailing videos. Should we do, like, we remember when we had Bernie Wilson and the late great Talbot Wilson on and talked about how to, what the media are looking for. That was Bernie. And what Talbot Wilson, who's was a great publicist.
Right.
What he was doing to send stuff out from St. Pete Yacht Club and some of the other yacht clubs down there.
It was well done. Yeah.
And those are two of our highest, as
Yes.
Clark Chapin will remind us, two of our highest viewed shows ever, because people kept going back. And that was even before we were on YouTube.
Yes.
On co-streaming to YouTube. We should probably do that. We should probably get some videographers of note. What we do here is not really videography. We do live television, which is a completely different kettle of fish. But these videographers and what you're seeing when they video and then go back into the post-production, go into the editing room and edit and add sound and add and subtract and so on, is a whole different deal. I don't have the patience to do that, which is why we'd go live. Live's a lot harder.
And
But
more fun.
But more fun. When you're done, you're done. So I'm wondering, Jay, if the Fozy think that maybe we should pull together a show about producing sailing videos, the pros and cons. We could get Jeff Waller from down in Australia. They're doing some great stuff. I tell you, Alistair Murray's crowd, the Sailing Australia.
Yes, they have.
Jody, you're on here. We get your neighbor, the brother of come on, help me out, Jody. The brother
Price?
of no. Jody will help me out with a comment here, but there are some good videography being done by and for the Australian. Yeah, Bo, John Emmons reminded me. Bo Outeridge. Thanks, John. Yes, that's who I meant. And he does terrific stuff and low overhead. I mean, it doesn't have to be the second coming of Ben-Hur. This doesn't have to be gone with, no pun intended, gone with the wind. Maybe we can pull something like that together. And that's what John is doing. John is a videographer. John is shooting video.
Yeah.
And then editing it. Not too much, but it's pretty much live to tape because he's doing so much.
Yes.
He wants to get it out the door. Darlene Stingray, did it type and do everything else a touch too fast? Hey, I was a Game Boy once, Sweeney is saying. There's another guy who's a photographer and videographer, is Sweeney. Just keep the women and children. Okay. I wonder if it's a matter of time before coaches just sit at the bar and have drone flight controllers to watch the sailors. I don't know. Hello and bon nuit. Good evening. Good night. Matt Suzuki in France. No friggin' techno or rap music beds. More banjos. Da 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 da. Rick Banner. The fuzzy Fozy. There's a guy who has shaved his beard off. Gosh, there's a lot of comments.
Yeah, David Dean says we should ask Rolex about videos.
There is somebody, but that's a professional company.
I know.
I think they are, they're going to charge if they come on to do some kind of a seminar. I think we get Bo Outeridge and some of these other people who are doing it for clubs and classes. Maybe we can get Icarus Sports, who's producing those good videos.
Yes, they've been.
And doing it. And I think they're Hamburg based. I think they're a German based company, aren't they? Gordon Smith is just amplifying his previous comment. To be clear, what I love about sailing as a sport is that there is really something for everyone. Traditional fun, family, Olympic classes, and technical innovation. Good points. All David James, that's a good point down there that Juliet mentioned a moment ago. And thank you all as we're into our second hour. I don't think we'll go, a little longer here. But Sean, as we mentioned, Commodore Svensson, and I and a number of others have a big meeting tonight, a rehearsal for the Stag Cruise production that Sean and I and a few others are leading. It's a last time, Julia, that I'm doing that show.
Yes,
it's the fifth show I've done for St. Francis at the Stag Cruise, the member show. And I helped Sean with some of the previous shows, but life's too short. It's fun, great fun. And we're doing, I think, a pretty good job, but it's herding cats and it's difficult. Speaking of herding cats, that was a segue. How was that for a segue?
Yes.
The cats at Sail GP, coming up here, we're in the last leg, the 9th through the 10th of September. France Sail GP in Saint-Tropez. That is season 4. See what I did there? Season 4, event number 3. Shorthand, so we can keep track of that. But I thought it was nice to interview Amelia Rioux, who is on the French boat, the lady who's on the French boat, and a terrific sailor, as a bit of a prelude to the French Sail GP at Saint-Tropez in a couple of weeks. Have a look.
My name is Amélie Rioux and I come from France. I live in Brittany, so my first experience in sailing was in Brittany in the north of France. And I sail Optimist, a famous small boat when you are children. My sister sailed before me, so I want to follow her path. Probably for the teenagers, and there is no limits except your limits that you fix. So I think it's really helpful, especially for the women. No name. My parents are farmers. During the summer, I work as a farmer in a biological farm, and yeah, it was my first job experience. Probably Lanzarote because it's really sunny and really wavy, so much fun. Window, flat water, and between 10 and 15 knots. Yeah, for me it's perfect conditions. Tennessee. Probably in Polynesia Island.
I think that's really good that Sail GP is doing these. We try to air as many of them as we see, and I wish maybe they did it in French, in her native French, as well. But I'd rather she do it in French, and then have subtitles in English. And maybe I could have turned on the YouTube subs, I guess. But it's better when they do it themselves rather than me having to record the subs. A bit of a deal. But nice stuff. She's a bright gal, a hell of a good sailor, and nice to have people like that also in our,
as they say,
beloved,
nicely spoken
in our beloved sport.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, that gets us to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and Ted Ryman and Graham Sweeney, as usual, weighed in, and then I just barely got one in for the Fuzzy Fozzy from Bannerow just before we went to air. And it's funny. But no drinking ones today. Sorry, Jody, and the rest of you. Face it, Sven, we're old. Pillage doesn't mean what it used to mean. It's subtle. Huh?
Yes.
Pillage. He's sitting there counting his pills into his Monday through Sunday pill boxes to be sure he doesn't miss putting his pills in his mouth on the respective days. That from Graham Sweeney. Thank you, Graham. Those guys look a little bit like Graham.
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Next up. Now, Ryman sent this one. We bring you a connection to the modern world. Next month, we'll be back with antidepressants.
Welcome to the real world.
Isn't that a bit of the truth? Isn't that a bit of the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, Ted, for sending that. Okay, Julie, get your finger ready. Here's one for you.
All right.
You see what that is?
Mm-hmm.
That could be a very good graphic image for a caption contest.
Mm-hmm.
What caption would you use for that? Huh? Come on.
Looking good.
Looking good. Finally, the meaning of pansexual. You ought to shake your finger at Ryman. He sent that. I thought that was clever and clean.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Sort of.
Doesn't inspire me to go into the grill room here at the Beach Street Yacht Club and lick a pan. And this came from several of you.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like it's up on the IJsselmeer. It looks up like it's in northern Netherlands. Up by Maidenblick and
with all
on the dike, on
wind
dike.
machines.
I don't know what that is, where that is, but pot liquor. See that? Sweeney says pot liquor illustrated. Lick. Stingray thought you were clever for licking good. But what about this one? What's the caption for this? I have no idea what's going on. Somebody has mounted a 470 rig on their old Mercedes, and they're up there by the windmills in what to me looks like northern. It could be northern Germany or northern Netherlands. I don't know.
Is it really into the car, or is it behind it?
No, I thought at first too it was behind the car, but I think it's mounted on the car.
You think so?
I think so. Who would know? Anyway, Ryman sent that as well. Thanks, Ted. I don't know what that's all about.
Saving gas.
Well, that's we maybe because we ran that thing the other day about the big, the freighters, the big ships that are starting to use wing sails. But no. Okay, at least we ended on a sailing note with that. Julia, your witness.
Yes. Like, follow, and share with your friends.
Indeed. And comments are welcome too, even in replay. Please support us. Come be a patron via Patreon. We appreciate all the help we get. $1 or $2 or $5 a month helps us keep the show on the air. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. THANKYOU to those who give us media, images, audio, and video for the shows. That's the list for today's show. Julie, any final thoughts?
No. I keep thinking what I want to do for the Lahaina Yacht Club, and I'm wondering what we can do.
I just hope we keep giving some publicity to this effort by the various clubs to send some money for their staff. I mean, you're not going to help rebuild the club, I don't think. The state government, the Hawaii Electric, and whoever, Hawaii Electric's been sued now because apparently they didn't turn the electricity off when they knew depower their lines and transformers.
I just want to cry every time I think of it.
And thanks to everyone. Thank you, Gordon Smith, John Emmett. Testing sail design, Joe Cool is saying. I don't know if they were doing that. Stingray, thanks to you. Fritz Mueller. No bridge clearance with that rig, that's for sure. Pedro Foiling Sailor, excuse me. Great show. Can watch and listen all the same time while in bed. Riding, walking now. Going to have scrambled eggs at the Balmoral Boat Shed. Of course, it's Wednesday morning down under in Australia and New Zealand. Don't like the cut of his jib, maybe because, that was a strange, whatever is going on. Well, that whole thing was strange, that whole thing. The future of EV cars at Worley. That's a pretty good joke. Thanks, everybody. We hope to see you on Friday, same time, same channel. In the meantime, go sailing. I mean, what the hell? See you Friday. Sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.